Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. Pretty special video today. Something that I've been meaning to do. To be honest, I actually forgot to do it while I was adding all the other maps. I think it's because I had that issue where the NPCs were dying, and I was like, oh shit, okay, I should probably fix that. Yeah, so I ended up going back yesterday. Man, I have still not fixed that floater. Yikes. But pretty cool. If you look down from the graveyard, you can now see there's still some issues. Like, for instance, the really funny issue is there's that little great tree that's here. That's like a PNG. It's just a flat image, which is a really smart way to render it. You know, from this distance, like you wouldn't really know the difference. But the real one is behind it, and I unfortunately can't edit this model file yet. It's got an issue in Dark Souls Remastered where you can't, but anyway, if you look all the way down, you can now see that is Quelaag's boss room, or the entrance to her boss room, all the way from the graveyard. And this is the actual correct spot. That's the question I've gotten a lot, is when you imported the Blighttown map, is that actually the correct spot? And yeah, no, it actually lines up perfectly with where the fake map pieces were. And I mean, it's just so cool. I was blown away that's possible. And Illusory Wall, which once again, if you don't follow them on Twitter and YouTube, you absolutely should. Absolute legend. That they pointed out that it actually makes a lot of sense that this is kind of the ideal way. I do need to add fog, by the way, to kind of make it less visible. So this is early, and I'm going to darken it as well. But they were pointing out that this is actually super cool, that if you could basically see this in the earlier game, and then once you get to Blighttown later in the game, you go, oh dang, that's that one place, right? Because originally, by the time you get to Blighttown, you're pretty turned around. And I know for me at least, I had no concept that Firelink Shrine was directly above Quelaag's boss room. I just didn't know that. When you're down there, you just don't really have much of a concept. I'm going to look at the Blighttown map and see if I can make it replace distant geometry, which presumably they have a distant Firelink Shrine, I would assume. And if so, I'm definitely going to switch that into a higher res version. And I think that would just be super cool. Really quickly here, we're going to actually fly down to the Blighttown that I've added. Now, this is not the real Blighttown still, as the real Blighttown is still down there when you obviously traverse whichever way you want to get there. And also you can see how the water is, the reflection plane of the collision that I'm on is completely different, and it would be different if I was on the ground. But I thought I would fly down here to show you that this is in fact the Blighttown map. I've imported it. I have culled unnecessary geometry that you wouldn't be able to see from this angle. So originally it pulled in a lot of the scaffolding, which it looks like there's still some scaffolding I can delete, because from this angle I don't think you would see that. But that's what I love about Cheat Engine. When you turn it on, it's going to show you everything that is rendering from the place where your character is standing. And so I deleted a lot of the interior portions. Looks like there's a little bit more I can delete, because I basically didn't want it to render a bunch of stuff it didn't really need to, right? That's obviously the goal. But you can see it's rendering all of these actual structures, where before it was rendering it was a very fake, low poly version of all of these, as is commonly the case. But yeah, you can see directly above, there is the Firelink graveyard. And I think, and as I said on Twitter, these are my favorite changes to make to the game, because DS1 is unique, and personally I think it's the greatest of all time because of its interconnected level design. They never have revisited this level of interconnected level design after DS1. And that's kind of where, I probably need to delete inside of here. Let's go check. Let's see what's inside here. Did I delete this? I may have deleted the interior because it wouldn't have made any sense to render it. No, okay, there's still some eggs. Okay. Oh, I am still rendering some of that. Okay, I'll delete. I'll delete some of that. Interesting. Okay. But, oh yeah, what if I go in here? Okay, we still got some eggs. This is a great debug tool to test out what is rendering and what is not. Because, of course, later in this mod development, I will be going back through and pruning extra geometry that can't be seen from certain angles. Now, of course, this is handled in modern game engines kind of on its own and in a more intelligent way. And this game was obviously developed for PS3 and 360. And back then, of course, you know, at least the way that FromSoft was doing it, it was very like a manual style of like, okay. And it continued with Dark Souls 2, of course, since that was still on those platforms. And you can see a little map piece here that I don't think is actually visible from how high Firelink Shrine is. And you can see it's just like this flat little image. And but that's why adding this kind of stuff doesn't really affect performance much. Oh, let's head towards the tree, because you can see there's obviously a real one and a fake one. And I'm going to actually message Shadowlith on Discord, because they're the ones that they're the one that has fixed this issue in DS Map Studio, where there's certain meshes that don't show up in Dark Souls Remastered, but they show up in a Prepare to Die edition project just fine. So yeah, you can see this is definitely the fake one. Yeah, it's ugly. Temporarily, I might just move the big tree in front of this and then just go, okay, cool, you can't see the other one. I'd love to be able to delete this, but I currently can't open it in Fiverr Editor. It's a mesh that just has issues currently, and it won't show up in DS Map Studio to modify it. But yeah, it's an ugly, ugly low-resolution image. So this will be a massive improvement. Let's keep flying past it, because I want to like show you the backside of it, which is nothing. I think you can't even see. But yeah, look how low resolution this actually is. It's pretty terrible. But for the time, you know, I think this actually makes a lot of sense. Using images like this for distant geometry and things, specifically if you can do it in a way that isn't noticeable. Yeah, see, the other side, you can't even see it. It actually becomes invisible. And so I can remove this in the Prepare to Die edition of this mesh. And it actually does load in Remastered. Unfortunately, it kind of messes up the textures on different things, like this distant Berg town, which I also just think it's really cool flying over here anyway. You'll kind of see in between like how many things they were faking. And so yeah, that's the distant Berg town. Is there another town over here? Yeah, I think there's other distant towns. And I was saying this on Twitter. Yeah, also that skybox is pretty low resolution. I do wonder if I can update that. But on Twitter, I was talking about with someone, they were saying that like, hey, you know, do you think it's possible to, like, there's a ton of other distant things in this game that could be made playable, right? Like in Undead Berg itself, there's a lot of wall high atop the wall, like from the Taurus Demon area. You can see there's other walls that seemingly you could walk on, but you can't get to them. And I think, yeah, I personally, I think long-term plan, I would love to expand the world in a lot of this distant geometry that you see. Wouldn't it be cool if you can actually visit these places? I'm hoping some of the tools that we use for Dark Souls Remastered get updated, and I assume that they will. There's absolute wizards. And one thing I definitely need is a way to edit collisions where the player actually like walks on them and doesn't fall through the world. That's a key thing. And so currently it seems like the best method we have is reusing current collisions that are already in place. That will be very difficult because I can't see them in Remastered. So I will have to basically do all of the changes in a Prepare to Die edition project. And then one by one basically copy those changes over to my Remastered project. And I should be able to make a town walkable. Is it going to look exactly like this town? No. I will presumably be reusing map pieces from other parts of the game, cut content pieces that were never used, and I believe I can cobble together an actual town that you can visit. But I just think the idea, I love that there was a designer who actually went through and modeled this town. Like, look at all these little details that they were adding to a town that no one could see. When they designed this model, that was for 720p. Ain't nobody seeing any part of that. And they put more effort into that model than I think was honestly necessary, specifically at that time. With the depth of field plus the 720p, dog, you didn't see, no one saw anything of that. And so that's where a lot of my mod comes in, that we have higher resolutions now. And so a lot of these assets sometimes don't hold up to that. But let's fly up back to Firelink. There is one other surprise I have in this video. This was just kind of a quick one to like show, hey, isn't it really cool? Blighttown will now be visible. I still have more tweaking to do of making it darker and maybe a little bit of fog, you know, for distant kind of related things. God, I love Cheat Engine. It's so cool. Where's my character at? Aren't they? I don't know. I'll just get out of the free cam. But I love flying around. I feel like this water updated. This isn't the water I changed it to. I don't know why. Bit curious on that. Maybe it's a different map piece? It might be. I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I fucked something up. All right, so let's get out of our free camera. And I'll die. You love to see it. Great. Totally worth it. Totally worth the dying. But yeah, we're going to do one other thing. And I talked about it on Twitter, so if you don't follow me on Twitter, then you're in for a surprise. If you do follow me on Twitter, well, it's been spoiled, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's load into a different character. Yes. Oh, he's in the depths, really. Okay, well, looks nice, looks great. Okay, let's warp out of here, and we're gonna go to Undead Parish. And there's actually a reason I want to go here. It's something I've been meaning to do for quite a while. And it's one that I think stands to make a pretty big improvement, actually. And it's one that's like so logical that I'm like, damn, why haven't I done this before? But really, it's also because it's super fucking tedious. Like horribly tedious. But also a lot of fun. Shit, you can already see it from here, can't you? It looks pretty bad from here. Because the collision, this is still the Undead Burg map. And then right as you step your foot over this line, it becomes yeah. So now it still doesn't look great. How interesting. Do I have it? I thought I updated them to use the same light IDs. Well, I'll have to look at that. Maybe I didn't set these meshes to... Well, I have been noticing with this grass mesh, it's very resistant to changing light IDs or fog IDs, or like it just kind of goes, yeah, we don't care about that. Like when I tried updating it for Undead Burg and some other places, it just was like, nah, we don't care about that. I still think this is a pretty good view of kind of what it can look like. And so now you can imagine Darkroot Garden with a ton of grass. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I've only done a little portion of Undead or Darkroot Garden, but this is a kind of the perfect like showcase of what the rest of it could look like. You know, I'm not going to add it to literally every square inch, but I do think it's a pretty big enhancement. It's one where I posted on Twitter and a lot of people were like, damn, why did I not see this as a bigger deal when I was playing the game? Like, it is literally called Darkroot Garden, but there's a lot of grass. There's little foliage here and there. Like, they did a good job with, like, some of these, you know, shrubs and different things. But they obviously didn't do full-on grass, right? Yeah, so now you can see this is where I haven't added anything, just for comparison. But like, obviously this area was probably, well, actually that's the early trailer that Illusory Wall shared with me, is that you could see more grass. And so that was probably, you know, it's only for the trailer maybe, but it could have been an earlier version where certainly there could have been more grass, but obviously for performance reasons, yeah, grass is definitely something you're going to delete. Ah, shit, I got a floating grass there. Damn. And it makes total sense that you would delete that, because I personally never had an issue with Darkroot Garden. Like, I was never in Darkroot Garden or Basin and going, God, this looks terrible. I think they did a really good job of managing the rendering budget that they had and making it feel gardeny without resorting to, you know, grass like this, right? Which, at the time, I guess the only video game that would have, well, there's probably a lot of video games at the time, but one I think of is like Skyrim and Oblivion. Those had a lot of grass, but they of course had a grass LOD in like a, you know, like a rendering distance, and so there obviously was distant land in Oblivion that had absolutely no grass on it. But they were certainly doing more of a lot of grass meshes that looked really good, and quite the advancement at the time. But yeah, this is just a little tiny preview of Darkroot Garden, but like really foresty. And I also had someone on Twitter go, oh, so now you just need to add 1 billion of those tree monster, tree fucking enemies underneath the grass. And I'm like, hell yeah. I won't. I think they personally have a good enough quantity on their own. I don't need to update it. But will it make them less noticeable? Yeah, probably. I'm okay with that. I don't really need to mess with the, you know, number of enemies, but I just thought it was funny. I thought it was a good joke. And yeah, let me know what you think of Darkroot Garden. I think the grass actually fit in pretty well. Unfortunately, I don't really know what my plan is for like looking through this doorway. I'm just in a completely different collision, different map. And if I update how this looks, well, then it's going to look different when I get into the Darkroot Garden map when you're here. So I don't want to do that, you know, and so it's difficult. Like, I'm just in a different map. And I mean, one thing I could do is certainly for this one collision here, I could make the shadow direction the same. So when you do this, the shadows don't move like this. Surely that's an easy fix. But beyond that, there's a limit. There's a limit to what I can do to make the transition better. But you can also see the outside mesh here versus the inside one. There's a giant fog difference because they're obviously using different fog IDs. And they're also, not only that, they're from completely different maps. They don't share a draw param at all. And so if I did want to tie these two together completely, I'd have to manually steal the settings from the interior, which certainly I could do. I could steal the light ID settings from the inside mesh there and then apply it to the outside mesh. And then it's probably going to look a little weird in Darkroot Garden, but I'll play around with that. It's something that's definitely on my list of like, yeah, it doesn't look great. It's lower priority, but it's certainly something that I'll look into. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, maybe hit the like button, you know. Oh my God, this is like the record video of under 20 minutes. Hell yeah, that's great. And yeah, hit the like button, helps a lot. The support on the recent videos have been bananas. We've gained so many subscribers and the videos are hitting like 4,000 views. Truly crazy. Love you all the new subscribers, welcome in. We do Dark Souls modding videos almost daily. I do plan to maybe in between do some other things. Oh, let me know in the comments if you would like to see a video one day, maybe soon, of me playing through the Dark Souls 2 network test. Because I got it working on RPCS3, the PS3 emulator, and I have the ROM for it. And I already played through it once, and then I was like, well, shit, maybe I should record that for the channel, because I think it's kind of cool to play that and see the differences. and the different UI and the different. There are a good number of differences. I wish I had like the actual legit beta. That would be even cooler. But let me know if you want to see me play through the network test really quickly, because I think it's just a really cool piece of From Software history to sort of see how it looks. And then obviously we know it got downgraded later, but in some ways it still matches up with the Scholar experience that you can get today. But just an interesting thing to see, and like the different healing, and yeah, let me know about that. And then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I post daily, mostly, because I'm a fiend and I know life this modding like you wouldn't believe. And I also have a lot of fun doing it, so that's the main reason. And maybe share this video if you know of Dark Souls nerds that would like a fellow nerd. What am I stepping on there? I don't know. Fellow nerd nerding out about Dark Souls and sort of looking into the in-between, behind the curtain with how Dark Souls functions and how the maps function and how it loads. And if you find that interesting, you know, maybe subscribe, like, share. Oh yeah, I've never said ring the notification bell. That's a thing. I don't really care. Do whatever you want. Maybe those notifications are kind of annoying. And maybe I'll look into adding cloth physics. Wouldn't that be cool? I have no idea where to start. But I have endless mod ideas. And I'm just happy you guys are on the journey with me. That sounds cool. That's why I do these rambling videos and I don't edit that much, is I want you to feel like you're on the journey with me. And I'm transparent of my process, and I fuck things up. And I think that's why I'll never do like slick edits or put a lot of time into that I don't think the majority of you guys would really enjoy that as much. Maybe I'm wrong, but I personally think it's just cooler to show exactly what I'm doing and the difficulties and the successes and everything in between. I think that's more fun. And think of it like a morning fireside chat of Dark Souls nerdy shit. That's the goal. So if you like that, cool beans. Praise the sun. I hope you're grossly incandescent today. If you're not currently, I hope you will be soon. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.